Hello. Greetings and welcome back. We met up last week, myself, Curtis and Angie, and we had a chat, a kind of chat that we've never had in public before. And thank you for all the people that watched it, all the people that have commented, all the people that have given comments as to what you could do, how you could do it. So let me just tell you what we've decided to do is to do 6, and then we'll talk about it after that. Within that, we'll try and talk about the topics that are hot on people's minds, the ones that people are thinking about, talking about. But we really need you to push with the hashtag no joke, and we really need you to get involved and give us feedback, because we are not on here telling anybody how to live their life. That isn't what we're doing, but we're just sharing our experiences with you, and we want you to share your experience with us, if that's okay. So let's get started then, shall we? Because there's lots to talk about. We've only got an hour. Let's start with Curtis, shall we? Curtis, good evening to you, or morning, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. It's a light. It's a light.
Well, people are amazed because your mouth is moving and
at the same
you are
time.
moving when you. It's amazing. It's amazing.
Man. I even had a bath. I had a bath and everything.
I know. Last week it was terrible. We watched Oprah. My preparation for last week was that's how I prepared.
We noticed.
Yeah.
The amount of criticism about lighting, boy. I've had calls from all around the world on how to do this. Hashtag Jeannie Yashere, Lewis, Ord. Thank you guys very much. All right. And it still didn't work properly on my laptop, but we've got it on the phone.
We've got it on the phone. Let's bring in Oprah. Sorry, Angie.
Oprah.
Angie, how are you?
Hi guys, how you doing?
Brighter than Angie. Am I too bright then? Hello, Angie.
How you doing?
I've got too much light then.
Can I go in the middle? Why am I not in the middle?
Yeah.
I'm not in charge of that, right? I'm not, honestly. You want to be in the middle.
Yes.
Operator, is there anywhere? Okay. Look at that. Hold on. Look, we're doing technology.
Yeah, I'm brighter than Angie. Look at this, man. You look bright. Angie, you look dull, babe. What's up with the lighting?
Yeah. Is that Curtis there?
She used all her money up last week.
Listen, Eddie, Curtis is actually in his neighbour's house, right? He was using their Wi-Fi last week, right? He was trying to get their Wi-Fi last week.
I tell you what, I got a friend in LA who cussed me out and told me to go buy a thing that boosts up your Wi-Fi. Expensive though, Jesus. Yeah. But I'm paying £12 a month. What
have you been doing for the last 20 years?
Not talking to people like you lot on social media at all.
Okay,
that's going to come up. I mean, we've got lots of subjects to go, and we're only doing an hour. So, again, thank you everybody for watching, listening, wherever you are. Like, share, spread the word. Let's get talking, because actually there's a lot to talk about. Let me start by offering our deepest commiserations to the 3 people who were killed yesterday in Reading Park. Yeah. It's like I wake up every day and there's a new story that I'm just flabbergasted by. We had people who were out there in a park, I'm told, which is a fantastic park that people have a great time in. And this guy has gone out and killed 3 of them, and there are others that are seriously injured.
Yeah.
So from no joke to you, our deepest commiseration to your family members, to anybody. And I think we should start there, because I think it's always important to start with what's freshest. And what was interesting to me, in the first instance, it was reported on the, Black Lives Matter march, and then they pulled back on that, and then it was a terrorism, then it was murder, because I'm sad, I've been watching it. And now it is regarded as a terrorist attack. Curtis, you first. Your reaction to that, because you have to understand, Curtis, this conversation that we're having is brought out of the death of George Floyd, but not everybody's going to react to Black Lives Matter in the same way. For some people, this will be an affront.
What we're doing, or I see what you mean.
Well,
yeah, of course.
You can tell people what to do.
But Thank you. Right. But I'm very wary of preempting anything. So one thing we've got to do is get all the information, because as you were saying earlier, the story changed throughout the night. Because I was watching a bit of it, and it was originally it was part of the march and he was attacking. Then the Black Lives Matter campaigners came out and said the march had finished hours before, and this was just people chilling in the park, relaxing. I don't know the background of the people who were stabbed. 3 were stabbed, and 3 more apparently in hospital. So he went on a bit of a stabbing spree. I don't know why. And I always think with anybody reacting like that, no matter what you're doing, I always put mental illness first. I always put mental illness first. And that's where I go when I hear any kind of tragedy. I know I always put that at the priority. Were they sick? Were they mentally ill? And then we have a conversation about, all right, they weren't mentally ill. They had an axe to bear. They wanted to achieve something, make a point. It's horrifying. It's horrifying, Eddie. And every day, the stabbings alone and the murder is still murder, no matter what the reason. Every situation where somebody dies, the first call is murder. These people were murdered, yeah? Regardless of why or what the reasons were, you were murdered. Start there.
Yeah, I accept that, because the impact on the family is going to be the same, isn't it?
Exactly.
But they are now, we've got the head of counter-terrorism saying it is absolutely being treated as a terrorist attack. Angie?
I mean, it's the same as what Curtis said. You know, as soon as you hear about the event taking place, the Black Lives Matters taking place in Reading, and then you hear about stabbing, and you just, so many things conjure up in your mind, and you try to stay calm because you think, was this an attack like we had last week? You know, were there young people defending themselves? All of those things were going through my mind. And then when I heard it wasn't the Black Lives Matters march, I felt, okay, what was it then? What could have caused someone to go into a park and stab and kill 3 people? Last time I heard it was 3 people, and there's some in hospital. You know, there's 2 women that were killed last week, 2 sisters that were stabbed, killed last week. You just can't imagine. Every time you hear the word stabbing and you hear the word killing and murder, we as a community, we conjure up so many things, and we have to wait until the information comes out. We start to go, okay, that's that. What was that? Like Curtis said, you know, at the forefront of so many things.
Was I the only one who just prayed it wasn't a black person doing the stabbing?
I went there, Curtis. I went there immediately. The minute the story came out, I conjured up this image of the white boys like last week going there, and the guys ready for them, and it just happened in my head. It wasn't like something I consciously conjured up. It's just like, wow, please, it's the same. Please.
You know, what's the thing what is great about what happened last week was that when the young guys were defending their community. And this is what we don't get to really say a lot of, defending out their community. And even when it got out of hand, the image that was put across the front page for the whole world to see was this black man carrying this white man to safety. And the truth underlining image of the truth of that was that this man was saying, bruvs, don't get carried away, because it's your life that's going to change. And what really great about that story, Eddie, that it was a policeman, an ex-policeman. So here we are wondering if we got systemic racism or we got institutionalized racism, and now we've got a retired detective at a rally with the EDL.
Yeah,
what is done?
I think that, as I say, every day I wake up and the stories become more and more amazing. Curtis, it occurred to me that every single case that guy worked on, every single case, every stop and search, everything that he worked on, he had spliff on him, he was violent, he resisted arrest, whatever it was. If they were true to the demand that something has to change, every single case he worked on has to be reopened, doesn't it?
You would imagine so. Everything he's done is tainted now because of the reality of where he comes from, what his beliefs are regarding black people or anybody different than him. So you would hope, and you know it's not going to happen, but all his friends should be investigated. That club he went to after work, where they met up and had a conversation.
What do you mean? Like track and trace?
Yes, definitely. Let's find out where this guy's been going. Because you know, there are people sitting in jailhouse right now swearing down they didn't do it. They didn't do it. They're in jail right now and they're watching the news and see him getting lifted and carried out. Come on now.
Let that guy drop him. Drop him. That's what we're thinking.
Right, hold on a minute. Last week, I asked you how you felt. And you two turned on me. We feel proud to see our brother carry this guy.
Now you're lying because we never talked about it last week in that detail, Eddie. You've gone wrong there, son. Because I'd never said that, my bro. I would have said, I thought the brother was military trained. Because I'm looking at him lift up that guy, and that looked like a fireman or some kind of non-civilian work he must do. Because if that was me trying to lift up somebody, hell no, I would drag him. I'd drag him, but I wouldn't be trying to lift him. I'd drag him and say, no, don't kick him. All right, one more time. Come, no, let him leave it. All right, and then pulling him, but to lift him like that, you know, some kind of military way and over the shoulder and stuff. What?
These young men, the men that were looking after the young people, because they were there to protect the families and the women and the children.
They've had training, innit, Angie?
You could see he had training. And you know what I mean? There was probably a whole heap of women out there going, I wish you would lift me up like that. You know?
Oh, really?
Angie?
Really, Angie? On Father's Day? You're going there on Father's Day? Come on now.
I've said this, so I want to repeat it for my friends, okay? But the truth of the matter is, he did what we wanted our people in our community to do: take responsibility.
He did.
How many times have we seen kids on the street? Every time I see a child getting arrested or getting searched, I jump out and I run over like I'm their lost aunt, like a madwoman. And people at the police are always like, who are you? Who are you? Because we have to take that kind of responsibility. We've got to pull up and say, I don't know what's going on, but I'm going to be a witness and I'm going to stand there and stop.
And do you tell them who you are and tell them you could have the police shut down?
Absolutely.
All right.
I think it's a good thing to do. What I don't think people should do is get themselves arrested as well. But I think of course, it didn't help George because this guy Chauvin knew that he was being filmed and didn't care.
Didn't care. That's that level of arrogance.
But I don't believe that we're there. I think that it's important to check on each other, to watch each other, to film it. I'm not saying that will make any difference, but please don't say you heard Curtis, Angie, and Eddie and go and get yourself arrested. Don't do that.
No, but as a community, we've learned to kind of ignore certain things and we're so afraid to get involved. And I think that's a good note, even if you don't physically go in and start talking to people, but you're there, you can stand over the other side of the road, you could let the police or whoever know you're filming the situation, and hopefully that might, in England, make people behave at least properly. You understand what I mean? Because I'm not rushing in to protect somebody who's done something absolutely ridiculous. I'm not doing that, but I will bear witness and film it, you know?
But even if somebody's done something bad, they still have a right. They still have a right to...
No, but I'm sick. I'm tired of walking past situations and black people, we are rolling him up far. Let the man go. Oh, you know, blah, blah. And they don't know what's going on. You understand? I'm saying protect everybody's rights, but you don't know what went on. So you just keep that individual safe. That's all you're trying to do. And make it all happen legally. That's what you're trying to do. I'm not going to stand up and testify for a guy when it turned around, he's just gone up the road and juke up 6 people. I'm not standing there testifying for him. I'm just going to make sure that he's dealt with professionally and legally.
Absolutely. And no one is saying that we're defending that. What we're saying is that there is a court of law. There is law that means that you will be dealt with in the right way. But at the same time, George Floyd didn't get that.
Yeah, but when I'm specifically talking about England.
If he done something wrong, then at least go to the courts and let that happen. He didn't get
but I'm not even going that far because you'll still get scuppered in the courts. I'm saying we was on the street level I'm talking about. When you get into a court, that's a whole different game because you've got to get a good lawyer. It's all about money. So if you ain't got that money, your court system, your court journey is totally different than somebody with money. So I'm not about getting to court. I'm just making sure that legally they're being treated properly while they're being arrested, while they're being stopped. Just make sure that the police or whoever's doing it is doing it properly and doing it legally and treating somebody like a human being. Firstly, that's what I'd want to see. I want to see you treat somebody like a human being. I've done it before where I've whispered in the boy's ear, what? You got anything on you? No, blood, no. Swear down, he didn't have nothing. Then I can do the big thing and say, all right, officer, what's the situation? Then I can get involved. But I'm going to talk to you first, you know. Don't think I'm going to stand up there and vouch for you if you're going to stand and lie to me, you know. Because it's important to protect our young people, but it's important that we do more as well regarding education. But we'll get onto that, I hope.
Can I just take that then to Father's Day? Because that's actually what I say to my children. I say, look, bottom line, at some point, we're going to be in a problem, whatever it might be.
Mm-hmm.
You can't lie to me. No matter what you think, I'm always going to love you, and you are always going to be my child. You can't lie to me. I don't want to ignore it Father's Day, and I can see there are a lot of really good issues. So can we take a minute, Angie? You know, because quite often talking about black dads is some kind of pejorative. They're never there, they da-da-da-da-da. I don't want to do any of that today.
Please no, please God no.
I think you're impersonating Angie today, Curtis. Stop and let everybody else.
It's got a little bit of light. Lord have mercy.
Maybe it's the light. It's the light.
I see the light. I see the light.
When I was thinking of Father's Day,
yeah,
I thought, and I hope you don't mind me telling you guys this, in the time that I have known you two, my dad has passed, Curtis, your dad has passed, and Angie, your dad has passed. So let's do this then. What, Angie, does Father's Day mean to you and your dad? Just let's not do the other side, because everybody talks about it.
I haven't seen mine for about 20 years.
But we do that in week 5.
You know, the thing is, for me, and I get emotional.
You're supposed to. You're talking about your king.
All right, Eddie, take some time, Angie. I'll deal with this question, shall I, while you compose yourself? All right. All right. Eddie, now I've got a bit of light on the subject. My father was, I do think about him a lot. Every day I think about my father and the memory and the fun and the not so fun things. And as a family, we sit and we discuss him. I've got my nephews who do impersonations of him. He's constantly around us. I've got images of him all around the house. Every day, it's just holding on to that memory, holding on to that person. And basically, I don't know about you, Eddie, but as a man, I've lived my life in a way, even though he's not here and even when he was here. And you know, people say, what would Jesus do? I kind of say, what would my father do in this situation? And that's why you might know me as a certain type of person. And that's why I am that way, because my dad was a kind of straight talking social guy. I'm not as social as he was, but I think about him every day and I try and live my life in a way that he would have been proud of and appreciated. And sometimes I sit down next to me while I'm doing it, you know?
Yeah. And you know, thank you for that, Curtis, because, you know, today was an emotional day only because I had spent time looking through pictures of my dad today. And so everything just comes to the surface. And, you know, when you think about your dad and you think about the safe place that man had for me, it was a safe place. You know, my dad could do no wrong. My dad was hilarious. He was where the humor comes from. And I trusted him and he loved me and he made me feel safe. And so, you know, when I think about some women in particular that may not have that, I feel sad because that's the marking. That's where we mark our men from, you know, because we know that my dad wouldn't do this. My dad, you know, to be able to say my dad, you wait till I tell my dad, because when I tell my dad, and my dad,
I bet you said that a lot, didn't you?
Yeah, honestly. And you know, the thing is as well, my dad used to put his hands like this and go, Angie, the position is this. Because he always had a view. And,
okay.
and the day he died, he didn't want to go. but he wanted to make sure we were all right. And I slept in the bed that night with him, and I said, Dad, it's time to go. And when I went out onto the veranda, he tried to sneak off, and I come back quick. And that to me is all I live for, those great memories.
You have a veranda in Catford?
No, in Lewisham.
Oh, okay, just checking.
In Jamaica. You carry
What about you, Eddie? Because I came to your dad's funeral, and it was a very emotional day. How do you feel about your father? Because from what I was hearing in the speech, he didn't like you very much.
Well, I don't know if he liked me. He used to say this thing, you know, that I needed to get myself together because England was a country that if you focused for 5 years and studied and worked hard, he used to say you could make yourself a man. And it's I think, and I know we're going to do Windrush because it's Windrush Day tomorrow, but I think it's what those people came with, the idea. I think most of them thought they were only going to be here for 5 years, actually.
Yeah.
And the streets were paved with gold, and then they would go back. But if you studied, if you worked hard, my mum's always had 2 jobs. Dad was a master carpenter. And I take that, you know. And I remember I didn't like my dad until, I'm going to tell you, it's a
man thing, I think.
It's a man thing, Angie.
So let's have a moment. Yeah, Ange, just dress back.
I think he came ready today. He bathed and he slept. I used to see my dad come home and give my mum money and go to the pub, and I hated it. I hated it because I never got the bedtime story. I didn't get all of that. Wow. And then one day he said, come and work with me. And I went to work with my dad. I saw my dad work. I saw the way my dad related to other people. I saw how good he was at his job. And me and my dad never had a problem again because I understood. I kind of had to see it to understand how he worked, how he lived, and maybe how he survived.
Can I ask what he did for a living? What job you went to?
Master carpenter, my dad.
Oh, nice. My dad was a plumber.
My dad was an electrician.
So between the 3 of them, they could have built the house that we are now speaking.
Exactly, but they spent time just drinking. Anyway.
Okay, so look, let's get through some of these subjects then, because I've been interested by, of course, I've posted the Boyega, you've seen Ashley. Leona last week was just like, I saw that story and I watched the whole 10 minutes of it about her going into the shop. Alexander Burke this week, Angie.
Listen, if you haven't seen Leona Lewis, haven't seen Misha B, or you haven't seen Alexander Burke, you have started to open up to what a lot of Black women are going through. A lot of what Black women are going through in the media. When I watched Alexander Burke's story last night, I just felt so angry that she had to go through that and go through that by herself.
Tell us a little bit about her.
Yeah, please, Ed, because I haven't seen it.
Well, when she was doing the X Factor and Strictly Come Dancing, you know, she didn't get through the first heat of the X Factor, and she worked her way and came back again and she won. And that was always a problem for people. And also when it came to promoting her and showing her to the media, being dark skinned and not being light skinned and not being in the front covers and being told to bleach her skin and being told that she is, aggressive, a troublemaker. Now, every Black woman who would watch that will recognize that story. When you're seen as an aggressor, you're seen as somebody who is difficult to get on with. The minute you open your mouth, you know, when they said that Misha B was behind the stage, giving people a hard time and being difficult, and then you had Talisa, who took her privileged self to sit down on the X Factor and be able to say, look, you're doing really well, you're really great, and I love your style, and you've got all the stuff that, you know, that would make you a star, but behind the scenes, you know, you're a little bit of a bully and you're a little bit of a whatever. That made all the votes.
Wow.
Talisa was responsible for that, right? Talisa, who can sit there and say, some of my best friends are Black, and I'm going to think about it because my dad comes from Congo. You need to go to hell. Why you need to go? Because we have suffered at the hands of women like that the Karens, we call them right now, who are in a position that they feel uncomfortable with black women, because as soon as a black woman steps into the room, they feel threatened. They don't feel threatened by men, but they feel threatened by the black women. And we're done with it. We are so done with it.
So, but what is it? Why? What is it? Have you thought about? Because in order to deal with it, you have to actually understand it.
You look at Alexander. Alexander came on Strictly Come Dancing, right? And she could dance straight away. Oh, but she can dance already, like Alicia Dixon. But they can dance. Of course, they can dance. They're naturally dancers. They went to school or wherever they want and learned to dance. Now they're in a competition. Why can't they lose their skills like the rest of you guys? We're always judged harshly. We're tired of being judged harshly. And every time I say that, and you know what, let me just quickly say, people,
please.
Why now are we talking about it? Shall I tell you why now we can talk about it? Because we're in a safe place. Those women couldn't talk about it in those places. I've been in those situations all the time. When I walk into a room and they go, oh, Angie's troublemaker. I'm a trouble. You can't make yourself small. You know, if I come in with my character, I come in with my black skin. Yes, I don't. Yes, I'm older than you, and I look younger than you. And you got.
Go on, Angie.
No, and so I say this, that for every black woman who is out there who has suffered at the hands of people calling them aggressive, when white women are called assertive, we're called aggressive. When they know what they want, we're not supposed to know what we want, and we play it down. You know, every time I see Charlene White of her natural here on ITV, I say, "Go on, girl, do your thing." You know what I mean? And what these women need to know is that women like myself, you know, Alexander's mum's not here, but I stand in place as her aunt to know that you will not victimize that girl again. You know, Dan, what?
Angie, can I just say, I hear what you're saying, but I don't think you can outdo women, or you make it a sexual thing. Women cannot be deemed as aggressive as men. Although I understand your journey and your story. Black men, that is us. No matter what we're doing, we could be waiting for a bus. We're aggressive. We could be buying ice cream. We're aggressive.
We're talking about Alexander and that story. And
yeah. But what I'm saying is, be careful, because
when you talk about black men, then you can say that. What I'm saying is, in this particular case, where Alexander Burt and Omisha B and all those women, black women that we see in the media, they're getting victimized, they're getting bullied, and they're being told that they're the ones that are bullied, and they're not. And I'm glad that Leona Lewis and all those women could say in this time, they can say, I didn't know what to do. They were young. How many times have we gone, okay, maybe I won't say nothing because I'm going to look like troublemaker, and you don't say nothing. You carry that, and then now that we're saying, come on, baby girl, tell us the truth. Black Lives Matter, safe space, let it all out.
So within that, you're both right, but within that, I could hear the problem really in that it's almost that when you divide it, you dilute it, if you understand what I mean. Because you were talking about a specific experience with Alexander, but then when you talked about yourself, I think Curtis thought, well, hold on a minute, you're talking about all women now, not just Alexander, and therefore I have to explain to you, I did this thing on the radio that they got a bit freaked out by, and I said, there's a little white kid in the lift on her own, she's about 5, and the lift comes up and opens, and I'm standing there, and I said, I'll press the button and turn around and wait for the next lift. I'm not getting in that lift with it. And I said to them, what do you do when you see somebody crying? They said, if there's a white woman crying over there, it sounds horrible, but I hope that you understand within the context of what I'm saying. I'll go and call somebody else to help her, because somehow the minute you see me standing next to her, I made her cry. There's no way that I could be trying to reassure her. So there are things that we do unconsciously, subconsciously, rightly or wrongly, that I think impact on a lot of what you're talking about. I thought it was really interesting she talked. I've never heard her talk. And they're calling out the journalist now. He's getting absolutely battered. So maybe there are other women, not just black women, coming forward to defend her, Angie. So that's a really good one.
And that's the beauty of where we are right now, that everybody's getting a chance to testify in this moment, in this time. Stuff that people have been carrying like baggage on our backs for years.
Like a chip on your shoulder.
Well, that's the way it's described. Remember, that was how it was kind of taken away from us that we cannot talk about it. Oh, you've just got a chip on your shoulder, and it kind of silences you because you don't want to talk about that no more.
No, but that's the point, isn't it? I got told at work, "Oh, you're so aggressive," and I said, "That's what people always say to me."
Yeah.
So if the chip is on your shoulder, I would suggest that what we do is go, and here are a couple of reasons why. There's no point. There's no point in having the argument because I think.
But that's hard to do, Eddie. When you've just said, "Did you see the way that waiter served me? Look at the way that waiter just threw down my cutlery. They didn't, and my glass is dirty. Oh, come on, you've got a chip on your shoulder. It's probably an accident, probably a mistake." It's hard to then go, hang on a minute. You might be in that cool and calm, but by that time, I'm probably at about 70 miles per hour, heading to 100 by the way I've been treated. And if I mention it and you tell me I've got a chip on my shoulder, stand back and hear the chip. Here it comes. Okay,
so I just tell you one thing I did one time, and I don't believe that the colour thing is ever going to really change in the way that we want it. I think it's about economics. I think it's about capitalism, right? I think it's about capitalism. What I remember one time I was in a program called Casualty. I went in first, and that time I was trying to lose weight, and I said, "Have you got any fish on the menu?" The man said to me, "If you can read," I said to me, "If you can read," I said, "Okay." Then the cast came.
Yeah.
Right? Remember, we're on telly in Bristol these times.
Yeah.
The cast came. So I told the cast what happened, and we all got up and walked out. You never seen them. You never seen them. I think that's what, because if you're not going to use my service, then I don't have a business. I don't know what other people have done, and I do want to take this opportunity to encourage. We're going to have some guests on in a minute. I want to encourage people to message in. Can you see when the boss presses the button and the messages come up on the screen? Can you guys see that? So
I can see it, but I can't read it. Maybe if I turn my device around.
The chip comment is about minimizing our experiences.
Yes. Well said.
Absolutely.
Because they can't deal with it. This is the problem that we're having now, is that now that it's all vomiting itself up, people can't deal with it. It's like they don't want to hear. We can hear about Holocaust, but we can't hear about slavery. People don't want to hear about our experience or hear about what affected us. But now it's coming up, and we've kept it so long, and we kept it, and it makes us sick. We are
But Angie, I think the important thing is it really isn't about anybody else. That Leona Lewis story is about Leona Lewis. It's about us testifying, getting it out. Where it drops, it drops. You understand what I mean? I think at this stage, in this moment, I don't care what it's everybody.
It's cathartic.
Yeah, it's cathartic, because that's what it's about. It's about ourselves, healing ourselves, and realizing we weren't wrong, we weren't mad, we weren't crazy, we weren't oversensitive or over-aggressive.
I'm saying that.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, Ange. I'm not challenging you. I'm just.
I know, but in order for some people to learn, some people have to know what they did wrong.
But I think that's a separate thing from me testifying about how I felt about the way I was treated on X Factor and the things that went on. I think the journey about the learning thing is a total different subject. It's like going to confessional and sitting and confessing everything that's ever hurt you, ever bothered you, and you're getting it off your chest. So she guaranteed, after she did that video, felt 1,000,000 times better than she has done for the last 10 years or whenever she was on that.
That's called forgiveness. That's forgiveness. When you start to move forward and you forgive and move forward, that's when you start to feel better. Getting it out isn't always the healing bit. That's the getting out.
I've seen some people, because even people I didn't even know would testify about things and have that moment,
I've heard people of color that I didn't really know identified as black talk.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so here's a minute. Okay, so look, I know we've got lots more to talk about, but I am absolutely adamant that we're only going to do an hour, right? So let's just take an opportunity. I don't know how this is going to work. This is no joke, #no joke. It's Ace, it's Angie, Curtis, and Eddie. We're going to be here for
You work that out. Woo, this is like...
You're kind of being able to join in a conversation that we might have. I promise you, it's exactly the way we speak to each other half
Just
joke,
been
half
dazzled by the
whatever.
light of Curtis.
It's good. It's brilliant. It's the Milky Bar kid is over there, right? So, look, I got up this morning and I messed up my whole day. And thank you guys. Thank you for the people that are listening, watching, and you, Angie and Curtis, because my whole day got messed up today. Because you know I'm in news. Sometimes I have to avoid some of it. I don't watch telly, right? Because it gets me. But I watched something this morning. It was sitting in limbo. I have avoided it. I've interviewed Anthony. I've interviewed Patrick, who played Anthony, and I'm scared of Janet. And I hope that technology works now, and that we've got Anthony and Janet on the line. Are you there, Anthony?
I am.
And Janet.
I'm here.
Thank you very much.
Hi.
Thank you for doing this for us. I want to say I really appreciate it. Yeah. Let me start with you, Anthony. I watched it today, and obviously you've been in with me. We've got you up on the stage at Waltham Forest, so you know I'm aware of the story. But when I phoned Janet yesterday, I said to Janet, it's amazing to me that people have been messaging me who know the story, but after seeing the story, they've been affected in a different way. I've got to say now, I'm one of them. I was vexed with you two because I cried before the two of you in the show. How does it feel?
It was good. It was good. The show was good. I didn't like the way my brother wrote the story and it came over on the screen. I liked it.
How do you feel?
How do I
feel? Did you recognize yourself?
I did.
Yes.
I did recognize myself. Everybody keep on phoning me, said the person looked like me. You know? I get peer phone calls saying they look like me. It was good. It was a good show. I liked it.
What was the lowest point, Anthony?
The lowest point was when they came and locked me up. Brought me to the Vern. That was the lowest point because by then time I thought they were going to deport me. So it was a bit frightening because I was being told that all along that I was going to get deported, that I'm a legal immigrant and I'm not allowed to stay in the country.
So let me take an opportunity, Anthony. I'm going to come back to you, but to tell you are a queen, you are a mother, you are a giant, you are a hero. I felt it when I saw you. You are everybody's wife. You are the wife and the mother that we could only dream of. You were never going to let them take your man, were you?
Wow. No. Tried everything, but no, they weren't going to take him.
Yeah.
Well done.
I just knew they were wrong.
Yeah.
And I was determined to prove them wrong.
It's great to fight a battle when you know you've got right on your side, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
It is. Especially when you got Janet on his side as well.
Yeah. But I told you this at the time, you know. You need to bend that foot, bro. This I can't kneel down. I know what's that foot. You need to fix up, bro. Because me and Curtis are auditioning for sideman status.
That's a joke. That was a joke.
No.
we ain't joking. Janet, let me ask you the same question. Because I only realized in my sickness afterwards, 10 years after when I had cancer, I only realized how my wife and my mother cried for me. They didn't cry in front of me. So I didn't know. Tell me the tears you cry and the worst time for you, Janet.
Do you know what? The worst time is literally listening to him when he's calling from the Vern and you can hear the depression in his voice, like he's giving up. He's not eating properly. That was bad for me. That was the worst part of it, even more than them locking him up, just listening to him in the Vern. You just think, what can you do? And you're helpless as well, so you can't do nothing. You know, solicitors can't do nothing. No one can do nothing at that time.
I just felt, you know, I felt when I watched it, like they were trying, Anthony, to wind you up to a place where you behaved in a way that they could then justify what they wanted to do.
That's right. That's right. Because to be honest, they broke me in the Vernon. I signed to go back to Jamaica, although I didn't know Jamaica.
Yeah.
I signed to go back because I couldn't take the locking up. I just couldn't handle it. So I was prepared to go back to Jamaica. So when after I signed, my son Jared talked to me. My son talked to me and said, "Dad, what are you doing? You're crazy. You don't even know Jamaica. You go back to some place you don't even know." And he's dead. I don't know where I find it from speaking to my son and Janet. Get the courage to.
He literally signed the documents, and like he wouldn't listen to me. So I just called his son that is stubborn like him, and he literally talked him into staying.
I just couldn't take that. Yeah.
Can I ask a question? In regards of your relationship with England and British, and how does that feel? What is the relationship like for you in your heart and soul about being in England?
Are you British?
Yeah.
I did think I was British, and it was knocked out of me when I was told that I was a legal immigrant and they weren't believing me. It did knock out of me. One time I felt like I wanted to leave because the country didn't really want me. And I was weak and fighting in this thing. Every day I was just getting weaker and weaker. As I say, if I didn't have this support, I would have been in Jamaica because I couldn't fight by myself. And I couldn't fight it because every day locked up was just breaking me down. You know, I couldn't stand there.
I don't think he thinks he's British now.
No.
I mean, he's been to Jamaica twice, and he sees.
He's like Curtis. He's been twice, so he's a Jamaican, right?
And he loves the culture and whatever. So
don't make me run and get my passport, Eddie. Don't make me run and get it, bro. I'm ready for any revolution. Yeah? I'm like Angie.
Ready to go.
All right, brother. Don't listen to Eddie.
How was it meeting your? How was it after all that? How was it going to meet your queen, your lady? How was it when you went to Jamaica?
Well, the first time I met Mum, the two of us just started crying. Yeah. Even thinking about it now.
Yeah, you're getting us going as well. Don't worry, man. This is a thing we're doing. I have to talk to you different to the way. Yes.
It was the first time I see my mom cry, so it was emotional. I couldn't hold it back, and it was nice. It was I kind of nice to us.
Janet, can I ask Janet, there's this thing that we have inside of us. When I saw the drama and I was watching it, I mean, tears was just rolling. Just felt like they did this, you know, because when I see Anthony, I see my two older brothers who came over from Jamaica when they were young, and that could have been them.
Yeah.
When I saw you stand in the street, watching them take him away, I mean, what inside of you made you just think, you know what, they're not having him? Because something, watching you in the actress that played you brilliantly, just watching you, I thought, where are you going to muscle up all of this now?
Do you know, I don't even know where it came from. I was just determined that they're wrong. I just couldn't believe them. Even when they kept using his application, I was just thinking, what is wrong with these people? Is there idiots working in the Home Office, or just, I don't know. But I was determined that, no, they're not getting the better of me. Definitely.
And it was the hostile environment. I want to talk to you about the money, because that was really interesting, that bit for me. But Angie mentioned actress there. I'm really happy to say that the guy who did just a magnificent impersonation, you know, I didn't even know he could do an accent until I seen that.
Listen,
well, no, he's here, Patrick.
Patrick knows he deserves a BAFTA for that.
He was brilliant.
He was good.
I didn't know it was him or me I was watching.
Wow, that's high praise indeed.
No,
Well, I'm hoping that we can get him on the line in a minute. Any chance of Patrick joining us?
We do apologise for Eddie's technical abilities. As you can see, I've sorted out my lighting. I just want to share my lighting with everybody. I'll give you some tips, guys.
Okay. Okay, why are you hiding? Everybody can see.
Listen. You see the production team talking.
It's good, eh? It's slick. It's very slick, this show.
We'll try to get Patrick on in a minute. Let me talk about this thing that we talked. The premise of it really is what happened to George Floyd. We're here on Father's Day talking about what happened to you, and Windrush Day is tomorrow. That £1,500, it wasn't just black people that gave that money, was it? This isn't we can't characterize this simply about race, because some of the people, the journalists who highlighted the story at The Guardian, what did you learn about people, first of all, Janet?
I learned that they're not all bad. I mean, like you said, the journalist, Amelia, she has been good as gold, and she's still here now, literally.
Yeah, she backed us 100%.
Yeah. No matter who her family or friends were, she continued doing.
She was good.
Hey. Well said, Janet. Well said. There he is.
Can we hear him though, Patrick?
There's my side man.
The real side man.
Congratulations, Patrick. As
Can
I
you
said,
hear
I
me?
watched. Yes, we can
Yes.
hear you.
Oh, yes, I'm trying to sort out the screen. There's too many things on there right now. But carry on, Eddie. Carry on.
Right. So I watched it this morning, and I'd already interviewed you. I'd already spoken to Anthony and to Janet. But I just want to, on behalf of all the people watching, to say, well done. You know, there comes a role, doesn't there? So far, is this the one for you?
Absolutely. I don't have to say much, if you know what I mean, because the work speaks for itself. Everyone can talk about the story, and it's just one story. But really, you know, I think we're all really proud of what we've done in sort of highlighting, you know, that one story. But yeah, for me, I had to go there to do it, if you know what I mean.
Right. And that's what I wanted to ask you about, because please forgive me, particularly Janet, Angie, and you, Anthony, but Curtis will know what I'm doing here. I saw somebody who was fighting to be a man, who felt that his job as a lover, a father, and a grandfather was to love, guide, and protect. And all of those people that he was charged with looking after were now looking after him. How did you get to that place, Patrick?
Well, I think when you just see, when I met Anthony and Janet, and just being in their presence, and you think the humility that they showed, they were so dignified. I mean, okay, we've been saying it all the time, but you think what they went through, and they still have humility, and they can still deal with people in a polite and civil way. To me, that's the strength that they have. So to me, it was simple. You just all I have to do is think about you guys, Anthony and Janet, when you came to the rehearsal rooms, and then later on I had to shoot off to do something. But in the end, I wanted to just sit there and listen. I didn't want to talk about anything. I just wanted to hear you guys just. And I got a chance to do that, obviously, Anthony went to Fat Man's on that Friday, and I snuck in and sort of just did a little CIA business. And I watched you, man. I mean, you know, and that's what we do, I suppose, as actors. We have use our imagination and experiences, but we watch and sort of mimic, if you know what I mean, in terms of certain things. I got the sense of you, and I got the sense that everyone loved you there, because that's what I saw. Everyone's sort of just cool and calm, but still respectful, and you know, knew that Flower has gone through some stuff, and he's still here enjoying himself. So, you know, that was it. Just the essence of watching for a good few hours was for me. And it's a world that I know. I mean, I'm West Indian. I used to hang out at the dances down in Lewisham, and in terms of people who know my side of the Lewisham Boys Club in 1978.
Oh, you done Lewisham Boys Club as well? I knew you.
You see, when they knocked it down, it was like, oh, it's gone, man. It's all, that thing. And, the first time you're out at 7 till 11 o'clock at night, and then you're hearing reggae music and soul music and then punk and rockabilly, and everyone's there hanging out, but you're waiting for your reggae music and the soul music so you can do your thing. But everyone's there. And, we're there 14, 15, and then we graduate to go to clubs that, the music is the thing that we want to hear, the reggae and the soul, especially soul for me.
Well, listen, I think it's important, imitating real life. Well done. There's a message here from Eve at McDonald. We're proud of how you portrayed Anthony. It was so real. We are proud of you, Patrick.
I thank you.
Well done. I hope you have a brilliant Father's Day. Thank you for giving us a little time today, mate. I know you're busy.
Join earlier. I was fiddling with this technical business. It's not my thing, really. Download the.
Well, hold on a minute. And you haven't seen Angie and Curtis. Don't worry, you're well ahead of them. God bless you, Patrick. I just want to play. Take it easy, Patrick. I want to play this for Anthony and Anthony. I don't know. Can you hear that?
Yeah.
That's your song, is it? Is that? Whose song is it? Is that her song?
My song.
Patrick, did you ask Anthony about if he got any money yet? Because I'm about to ask him, and I don't know how he's going to respond.
No, I didn't feel there was. It's their business, and in one way, we all know. If you think about the government, how much money are they going to give everybody? We're all thinking about how much, but really, no, he's gone through so much. I'm not asking you how much he needed more money than they could give him.
Wait for the reparations that soon come. Reparations is on its way, man.
That's what I say.
Everybody's gonna get some.
Yeah, I said that slavery business was business. So it's very simple.
If we don't get 2 schools out of it, proper funded schools out of it, something's wrong.
We're going to get some. Let me bring it back to you, Anthony, because you are the man, and you, Janet, you are most definitely the woman. Has he changed, Janet?
Yeah, it's more miserable. That's
right. What you gonna do?
He doesn't want to listen anymore.
You fight for him. You got to stick with him now.
Isn't it?
How you living? How is money? How you living? Because that bit of it touched my soul.
Listen, we were struggling, but the other day after the film was
after
the
Patrick
drama,
worked his magic.
Yeah, even before they saw his magic, they started to get
insurance payment.
They started to get paranoid, didn't they?
Well, that's a brilliant moment, because we're on here, we're talking, but most of all, we want to try and offer solutions, happy endings, which means something different on this podcast to the way it means in another country. But well done to you, Patrick, for your magnificent portrayal. Anthony, God bless you. Your story encapsulates so many of our parents' stories. They came to this country to help build this country. And when the country was done, it showed no respect. That is the way it was, and that can never be forgotten. And you are a diamond. I would get down on my knee for you. No, but you're there with that old man. So you keep him. God bless you. Take it easy, and hopefully we'll talk again. Anthony, Janet, and Patrick, God bless you. Yes.
God bless guys. Well done. Well done. That's so nice, Eddie. Well done, Ed. You had a heart there. That's beautiful, man. Well done.
That's nice. That was fantastic.
I want to ask him how he voted in the referendum. because people forget when Brexit means Brexit, you know, and watch out, it's coming again. But nobody expected it to affect black people like it did. When the Brexit was voted, suddenly the Windrush was pushed through, sending people back. If you look at the link between it, it's very scary.
Yeah, I understand that, but you know, the people who are most fervently against new immigrants are the old immigrants. And it's one of those things that freaks me out. Look, I'm so sorry. I know there was lots for us to talk about. Can I end on one subject, seeing as you've brought Brexit into it, which is one of the architects of Brexit. He was a Brexit secretary. He's now the foreign secretary, which is the leading diplomat that we have in this country. He said that he would only take a knee, did Dominic Raab, for Her Majesty the Queen. Or for his wife when he asked her to marry him. And I've got to tell you, I was flabbergasted.
Really?
I was.
Well, Eddie, you're such an optimist, man. It just didn't surprise me. I guarantee if you walk through the Houses of Parliament, you talk to any of the MPs, they will all say that they're not taking a knee. Why? Why would you take a knee?
No, that's not the point, Kurt. It's his prerogative. There's loads of black people who won't take the knee. I'm not talking about taking the knee. That's your business. Happy for you to decide in any way you choose. The idea that he doesn't understand what it means, the significance. Right. You're talking about Colin Kaepernick, a man. Yeah. There are millions of people marching around the world because one man had his knee on another man's neck. And
you don't get it.
He doesn't get it.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't care. And this is what we need to understand about the government we've got today. They do not care. Right now we're talking about Black Lives Matter and they're saying, is there racism? This is who they are. They've lied about the whole coronavirus, the way we have been suffering more, black people have been suffering more, or this is a real stuff that we need to start talking about. They don't care. And when we're going to get that they don't care about us, you know, they said, how are we dying? We weren't dying just because we were not priority in the hospitals. No one wants to talk about that. These people are allowed to be racist. Did you see the smirk on his face? He knew
Game of Thrones.
He knew he was doing.
Game of Thrones, yeah.
What he was doing. He knew what he was doing. Because when Brexit came, people didn't mind being called racist anymore. They would say, well, if I'm racist because I love my country, then I'm racist. Once upon a time, it was an insult to be called a racist. Now it was okay. But what's happened now is that its karma's turned around. It's not great to be called a racist. Our government are allowing people to think racist thoughts and they're pushing it through because they all think the same. Then you get people like Priti Patel who condone behavior. They're all in it together and we shouldn't expect anything great of them.
But in saying all of that, I know that the future is gonna be a lot more positive, and the government don't make you think anything, in my opinion. We as a society, as a community, have to start working together to affect change. And these guys in their houses and they don't get it. They don't need to get it because their bills are being paid regardless. There's a level of elite that exists in this country that just don't have to get it. We have to get it because we have to interact with each other.
Once you understand what has gone forth, you need to understand what has gone forth for you to move forward. I was talking to a friend of mine, Grace, yesterday, and she said, Angie, hope is not a strategy. We need to be able to go, this is what we're going to do. Rather than say they don't understand it, whatever. We need to be able to galvanize ourselves and say,
exactly.
We're not doing this, just like the BAME. And we're not, don't call me BAME anymore. We have to decide.
Hold on. I know what both of you are doing.
Then we've got to find the name. No, Eddie. Then we've got to find the name that we so that we can say to them, this is what you're calling us. If the Asians don't want to be associated with us, because back in the 80s, when it was they didn't want to be associated with us, and then it became BAME. Now we're inside of it.
Say it, Eddie, you know you want to. It begins with S and ends with P. Say it.
No. I ask you.
I get that, but we can chat, right? If we don't come to any conclusions or come with something constructive, we're just going to keep chatting.
You done? The show is finished and you're now big subject. What's the matter with you? I told you 1 hour. You've got a clock there. Stop.
No. Before I go, right? I've got something for you two. I've got something for you, Curtis, and I've got something for you, Eddie.
What?
Right? Just in case you guys don't know this, right? The Real McCoy is coming back on BBC iPlayer.
Woo!
Am I getting any money for it?
Probably not, because you probably didn't check the contract. Too glad. That was. Oh, you got a book you want to plug?
Oh, it's just me, is it? Okay. Listen,
I'm coming.
There's Eddie's.
Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives Matter. I love it, Ed. I read it last night. Brilliant.
Very good. Very black.
But you see what I can do, Angie? I can pull out your book because I've been supporting my brothers and sisters for years. Yeah?
This week.
Yeah, you be getting. I know what you be getting. Anyway, it's been a pleasure. Next week.
You be getting some PR. You be getting some marketing.
Okay.
Next week.
I want to take this opportunity to say thank you guys. Look, if you're, in fact, it's probably better that I say bye-bye. No, if you're watching this, listening to this, right? Hashtag no joke. Please message me privately, message Angie privately, and message Kurt. If there's something you want us to talk about, then it would be really nice. I think in a couple of weeks, we're going to have the ability to put video up. We're going to try to every week improve it to bring it to a standard that we would like you to see it. But we want more integration, more people telling us what to talk about, whether you agree, disagree. Next week, we'll probably have a bit where we look back on some of the things that people have said. I'm sorry that we aren't. It just goes too quickly to be able to read all the comments that have come in. No, Ven. Ven is asking for an hour and a half next week. No, we're just going to talk to Angie off record and try to work it out.
That's not fair. You know what?
Eddie, happy Father's Day, my brother.
Happy Father's Day to you.
Happy Father's Day to
She's
you,
still
Eddie.
talking. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Angie. Thank you.
So
Lovely men, lovely.
God bless you. Look after yourself, and we'll be back in undiluted, uncomplicated truth. And we really want you to get involved. Curtis, look after yourself. I'll talk to you soon.
Still like that.
So right.
And you, Angie, look after yourself. God bless you, my darling. Have a great day. I'll be back here on Facebook Live between 7 and 9. It isn't serious. It's just about having a laugh. Paul Lawrence is on there. Have a look for him. Lewis Mastermind is on from 4 p.m. And there's a book that I recommend this week. Try it out. If you haven't got Angie's or Curtis, it's Think Like a White Man. It's absolutely hilarious and it will really help. We'll be back here at 1 p.m. We need your help. If you can help us in any way to promote open, clear, uncomplicated conversation, then we would look forward to hearing from you. Thanks to all the people that have helped. I really appreciate it. And see you back here 1 p.m. next week. Hashtag no joke.